Good evening, dear parents. Thank you for registration in such large numbers. We are just waiting for more participants to join in. So just give us a couple of minutes more so that we can have all of them registered because we have a huge number of registrations for this webinar. Just a couple of more minutes. I can see the participant number rising up. So just a couple of more minutes before we start. Just the next 1 minute more. Good evening, dear parents. I am Dr. Anita Madan. I head the EuroKids curriculum department. Along with me is Dr. Tejas Hambir, who's a neonatologist and a pediatrician. So while we were around, moving around all the cities, we realized a lot of partners and a lot of parents are really concerned about writing. So, what is the right age of writing? My child is not writing yet. Which school makes them write more? Is it right for the school to make them write more? How much is right for the child? So, having heard so many questions and so much confusion about writing, we decided to have a webinar. a webinar where an educationist who's totally against starting writing early, along with a doctor who knows the best about the developmental milestone because he's a pediatric, he's a neonatalist. He knows exactly what is right for the child. So, a combination of two here today are going to be addressing all the queries that you have as parents, as partners on when to write and how to start writing. So, introducing Dr. Tejas Hambir.
And
Dr. Tejas is a consultant neonatologist and pediatrician with over 14 years of experience. He completed his MBBS from the Government Medical College and later in his DNB and fellowship in neonatology and from Rainbow Children's Hospital, Hyderabad. He is a silver medalist in fellowship exit exam. Later on, he was selected as a neonatal fellowship at the prestigious John Radcliffe Hospital at the Oxford University, where he completed 2 years of fellowship, which included management of extremely critical neonates and their retrieval. He later worked with Dr. St. Mary's Hospital in Manchester University. He has an experience of working in two of the biggest and the busiest hospitals in the United Kingdom. So I'm happy and glad that Dr. Tejas could find out some time in his busy schedule to address all the queries that the parents have. So the format for the webinar today is Doctor will address all the parents and then we will be open for a lots and lots and lots of Q&A because we are here to address all the questions that the parents have on writing. Over to you, Dr. Tejas.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. I'm actually happy to be around with and associated with EuroKids and getting this opportunity to deliver a talk on such an important topic, which, as you mentioned, ma'am, like so many parents, me myself being like a father and having kids who are into that age group, we always like at home debate over whether the child is writing properly, is my child a bit behind, is my child doing appropriate, and I'm sure like the audience who are there would also be like having similar doubts. So when this topic came to me, I was like more than excited and more than happy to present it because I always feel that practical problems are to be addressed and they have more value to it. So without wasting much time, after a lovely introduction, I would like to go ahead with my presentation. Can the next slide be, please? Next slide. Am I audible?
You can get a little louder.
Am I audible? I can't see the slides moving.
No, the slides are moving, doctor. Can you see now?
No, not at my end. Just a sec. Mm, Not that I can see them moving, but yeah,
Yeah.
are we on the introduction slide? So, okay,
Yes.
fine. I have a presentation and like I know it a bit better, but I hope others can see the slide. Are they able to see the slide? I
Yes,
hope
yes.
everyone is able to.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So before I start, can we just do a simple like can I have like few questions or few so the way I start, it's always better to give a one-on-one talk to all the people around and like it's always nice to interact with them. Unfortunately, on this media, sometimes it looks like more like a one-way communication. So if I can get few like because we have a bit of time, can all the parents or whoever have joined put in into the question answer or chat box few of their common queries. Just we can give couple of minutes and we can ask the parents to put couple of queries or whatever queries they have and see during the presentation are we covering them. It will be a nice exercise to be done. Shall we do that, Dr. Inda?
Yeah, sure. So parents have already started putting in a few queries. Parents want a little bit of Hindi in between. So Dr. Tejas, I hope we are comfortable with a little bit of Hindi in between.
श्योर, मेरी हिंदी उतनी अच्छी है कि नहीं मुझे देखना पड़ेगा, बट या डेफिनेटली वी आई वुड ट्राई टू हैव इंग्लिश इनटू इट.
Yeah.
My only thing is like I am not able to see any of the slides, neither the chat box.
Okay. Anjali, there are a lot of attendees who have also mentioned that they cannot see the slides. So I think you'll have to stop sharing and reshare it.
No problem. Is
Now
the
can
slide
you see?
visible now?
Can you see it, Dr. Ram?
Mm, not yet. Yeah, like I can see, like you can put it on. I'm actually not able to see it. Just give me 1 minute.
Doctor, I think I'll ask Anjali to stop sharing and then you can start sharing the presentation. That would be better. Anjali?
Okay, well, if you
Yeah.
can do that, it will be really helpful. Sure.
Now you can start sharing.
Can you see now?
Participants, you all can write in your chat or Q&A that whether you can see or no. Yes, people can see. Yes. We can go ahead, doctor.
Are people able to see now?
You will have to put that in the slideshow mode, no? Yes, people can see now.
Okay, fine. So I was just going into the Q and just seeing if there are any questions which are there. Uh, Not much. Okay.
Can we just
So
go
yeah,
to the slideshow mode?
Dr. Tejas, at the bottom panel,
is this
you can
better?
see notes written.
No, is it better?
It's
No,
not
Or
in
is it
the
still the
slide
same?
share mode.
just select from beginning.
Okay. Unfortunately, I am a medical. Like I wish I could have all the skills to change this, but can you see now? Or still the same?
It's
Still the
still the
same.
same.
It's okay. Let's continue this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's continue this way. It's fine.
Sir, here under display settings, if you could just click display settings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just do
And what do I
duplicate
do?
slide. Duplicate slide.
Is this okay now?
Have we clicked duplicate slideshow?
It's got stuck, I think.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we just go ahead. Yeah, perfect.
Yes, much better.
Works.
Much better.
Yeah.
Yes.
We also know that it is influenced by a variety of factors. Essential skills that play a critical role in it is one of the very essential skill which plays a critical role in child's cognitive as well as emotional development. But when should the children start learning to write? This is the big question which we are going to discuss today. Most of the parents often worry that their child is behind in writing as compared to the peers. They come to us, like they even come to our OPD and they say that, oh, my child is still not started writing, my child is writing slow, my child has difficulty in writing few words, they write few words in the reverse manner. So these are very common questions which as pediatricians or like as developmental specialists, which we encounter. What I'm going to do today is in this presentation, explore the developmental milestones which are associated with writing, what to expect at different stages of growth, what you expect with a 2-year-old child, what you expect with a 3-year-old child, probably a 5-year-old child. What are the best practices to introduce writing at the right age? And at the end, we will take around like 5 to 6 common myths about writing development. I hope I am audible and this time we don't have any glitches. So to
Perfect.
start with the
Yes.
developmental stages of writing, it has been divided into 4 important phases. These phases include the pre-writing phase, which is between the age of 2 to 3 years, the emergent writing phase, which is between the age of 3 to 4 years, the early writing, which we call it between the age of 4 to 6, and transitional writing, which is between age 6 to 8. As we are focusing on early writing and early development, yeah, I'm just going to talk about these 4 stages. So when I start with the first phase, which is the pre-writing phase, which starts at 2 to 3 years, scribbling and drawing is a basic thing which any child will start. Why is it important? Because in scribbling and drawing, the basic hand-eye coordination is one thing which starts developing. They start exploring marks on the paper. They understand that marks can convey some meaning. This is the phase where they understand, oh, probably it's a straight line or it is a horizontal line or it is a circle or it is a curve. These are the phases where they start understanding. Then comes the emergent writing phase, which comes between the age of 3 to 4 years. Writing their names or simple letters like A, B, C. This is the phase where they start actually doing that. Drawing and associating sounds with the letter is something which they also develop in this phase. That is why phonics and beginning of phonics is awareness of the phonics is very important while you are understanding to have a proper writing skill. Then comes an important phase where most of the kids are into like probably like you might get kids who scribble around or you try to do some of the basic things. But early writing is a phase where I think parents are like having a lot of questions about, where they are not able to write simple words or phrases, or this is a phase where they start with simple words and phrases. They start formulating legible letters and understanding that writing can communicate. Like, so they understand that writing is a mode of communication, which if you start doing it, like people can understand what you want to convey. And the last but not the least one is the transitional writing, which is between 6 to 8 years, where writing complete sentences and short stories. They start improving on the spellings, they start improving on the grammar, as their reading skills strengthen. Okay, so we understood all the 4 stages. So it is very important to understand these stages before we go ahead. Now, there are various factors which influence this writing skills. We all know there are not only like the intent of writing, but there should be physical development which should happen. There should be cognitive development which should happen. There should be emotional readiness of the child. These all factors, along with social and environmental factors, influence the writing skill. So when I say uh, factors, what does physical development mean? Physical development means if a child has to write, at the end of the day, he has to start holding a pencil, right? So he should be able to hold a pencil. He should be able to hold a pencil with a proper grip. And for that, there are different muscles in your hand, like your thinner muscles, your hypothinner muscles, which along with your fingers and the thumb should have a coordination which will help in holding the pencil well and then start forming letters well. So this in medical terminology is known as fine motor skills. So there is something known as a gross motor skills and something known as a fine motor skills. Walking, able to pick up things, or doing bigger things with your hands and all comes into your gross motor. But fine motor includes all this, like where your smaller muscles are involved into an like artistic way of doing things. During this phase, this development, the pre-writing skills like scribbling, drawing, this all come usually before the actual writing. Now, obviously, till you get a physical development, you won't be able to do. Similarly, there is cognitive development which should happen to get a proper writing. What does cognitive development mean? Cognitive development means understanding the relationship between the letters and sounds. So they should understand how a sound is spelled or how a sound is pronounced before understanding to write it. Developing the concept of written language as a communication tool is very important in this phase. Or this is it. Emotional readiness. Most of the kids are like they do, though they have like no issues with the physical development or don't have an issue with the cognitive development, they have an emotional laid back attitude where they are not very ready in writing. So they are not very interested in writing. So the interest in writing, where they have the curiosity about letters and words, should develop before they start writing properly. A desire to express oneself through writing, like stories, drawings, labels, is very important influencing factor. And at the end, the last but not the least, the social and environmental influences. So exposure to books, prints, exposure to like the habit of like writing, or exposure to seeing like reading stories at home, the encouragement from the caregivers, the teachers, the peers. This all is plays a very important role in influencing writing. So this all are the important factors. Now, what are the key milestones to look for in a child when we are looking for the writing skills? So, by the age of 2 to 3, scribbling and experimenting with writing tools usually start develops. So, we always say when we come in pediatric practice, so there is a child who will at 2 years of age try to start drawing horizontal line. Then around 2.5, they will start drawing a vertical line. Then by the age of like 2.5 to 3, they start doing circles. And that's how you need to understand those developmental milestones before labeling or before getting worried that, oh, my child is probably not doing what he should be doing at this age. So by age of 2 to 3 years, scribbling and writing is very experimenting with the writing tools is important. By the age of 3 to 4, attempting to write their names or familiar letter should start developing. So again, by 3 to 4 years, you don't expect your child to write stories. By this time, they can at least start with basic things like, okay, they can start writing their name or start writing the first letter of their name or familiar letters in the family. Those things they can start writing. By age 4 to 5, they start using phonetic spellings like writing dog as DG, dog. So I'm sure like when you are teaching in the schools, like there's a lot of emphasis on the phonetic spellings which is there. The whole purpose of that is because they might not be able to spell it properly, but they understand that okay, it is how it is pronounced and then how to write it. By age of 5 to 7, simple sentences like such as a 3 letter sentence or 3 word sentence or the smaller stories is started to write. It all depends upon like individual child, depending upon the factors which I mentioned before, how they get influenced, and then they do it and they start writing. By 7 years plus, they then start writing, composing longer sentences, stories, and then they start using correct spellings and punctuations, like simple thing like using capital after a full stop, or using like commas and other things, like usually develops before after 7 years of age. So once you have seen this milestones, you would understand, okay, what you need to expect from your child. Not that you can't have a 5 year or 7 year expecting to write longer stories and they are like pronunciations or like their spellings are all correct, the punctuations are all correct at that age. So what are the common mistakes which most of the parents do and which actually leads to all the anxiety and the panic situation? I have seen in my practice that most of the parents do try to push writing too early into their child. As I mentioned, if the child is not physically and cognitively ready, it is very difficult to start pushing them for writing, and that leads to a lot of frustration and anxiety. So if you like, oh, the child next door starts is now writing his name, you also expect your child to write an name by 2 years of age or 3 years of age. As I have mentioned, there will be like milestones which you need to look into, and depending upon that, we need to address it whether it is like delayed or not. Then you expect perfection too soon. So these are another second common mistake which a lot of parents do. They start expecting perfection too soon. That writing develop. See, we need to understand that writing develops over a period of time. You can't have like spelling mis. You can't have like your child is not going to do any spelling mistakes, or the child is going to write very neatly as you need. There are going to be like phases into this also. There are going to be stages where they might start with a lot of spelling mistakes, and over a period of time, they when they do it on a regular basis, the spelling mistakes will come down, their handwritings will start getting better. So expecting too early perfection is another mistake which a lot of parents do. Another topic which, as ma'am also mentioned in the initial phase, that there are a lot of schools which come with, oh, you want to improve with writing, okay, take this, you just copy paste and start writing it, like overloading with task. Overloading with task is another common mistake which does happen, like offering too many writing activities at once. Like I know a lot of schools which come across with, okay, in a day you need to write 10 pages. Probably we were like also brought up in that way, like, oh, you have to scribble and bring it down and then just do things in this way, that you have to write 10 pages today and get it back. Probably that doesn't help with every child, and in fact that can put a lot of reverse pressure, or that can push the child back in some ways by offering too many activities. So focus on engaging, and actually fun activities should be encouraged more rather than overloading them with lot of tasks. Neglecting pre-writing skills, like again focusing too much on writing words without developing the fine motor skills, like how we usually say that, oh, they should start tracing, or they should start drawing, or they should like start writing in air and write simple things like writing in sand. These things are like to be done or encouraged more before writing or focusing on specific words. So these are like one of the common mistakes which are done with a lot of kids. So what are the best practices for introducing writing? So what we always say is start with scribbling and drawing. So encourage free exploration of colors and shapes. Provide plenty of opportunity for the children to draw and use crayons, markers, or chalk. Do not get worried, or do not be hesitant, like when you see your child making a mess out of your house, or making like drawing on a lot of places, sometimes walls. Obviously walls are not to be encouraged, but yeah, you should give them free hand with the colors, with the shapes, or with the crayons and whatever they have at home, so that they inculcate a good habit that they would like to pick up the crayons and like start doing any scribbling activity which can encourage them in future for writing. Then incorporate writing into daily life, like for example, for an older child, like what we do at home for our kids is we start asking them to label familiar objects around the home. Like there are simple places about where they keep their shoes or where they keep their toys, or simple thing where you can ask your own child to start writing it. So this can definitely be a fun activity, and they can start labeling it. And it is, we have seen in many kids that it does help. So have children write shopping list or simple notes to the family members can also be helpful. As I mentioned, use fun and interactive tools to introduce writing. There are a lot with in today's world with what all the digital freedom which we have, and so many apps and those things are there. Use apps or games that introduce letters or phonics in a playful way, so they can get engaged and they can use their fine motor and cognitive skills to help in writing better. Practice with sandpaper letters, whiteboard, or finger painting for tactile stimulation. So tactile stimulation is another part of your developmental value. So when you feel it, when you hold it, it sends a positive impulse to your brain, and that helps in getting a hand-eye coordination better. Focus on letter recognition. So teach letters and their sounds before expecting children to write them. So you can always teach them a take single letter, teach the letter, how it sounds, and then you expect them to write. You can't expect them to write, let's say, you can't expect them to write V, or you can't expect them to write X without knowing how it sounds or how it is to be written. Okay, help children understand the letter present represent sound, which together forms word. Okay, another thing is create a positive environment. Celebrate any attempt at writing, no matter how small it is. Like even if tomorrow by themselves they start come and write a simple word like dad, mom, and all those things, it is a positive reinforcement which should happen on a regular basis, which should encourage them to take up writing rather than like going away from writing. So we do encourage, like, okay, you can like encourage your kids that, oh, you come up with any words which you want to do. Like sometimes play simple games with there where they can form letters, and they can ask you can ask them to write on sand, or you can write ask them to write on a white board. So these activities will definitely create a positive environment. So make writing enjoyable. Don't focus too much on mistakes or accuracy, or don't focus on like many again, like many people try to focus on, oh, you should have written the D in this manner, oh, you should have written the E in this manner. Yes, it does, it is very important over a period of time, but not in the early phases when they are still learning into the basics of writing. Now, what role does a parent and educator play? Model writing. So the model writing is very important. We as parents or like educators should show the children how to use writing in everyday life. Simple things like making list, writing cards, journaling does make a lot of difference. Unfortunately, with the use of phones and mobiles and all those things, we end up writing or making all our notes on our phone. But it will be a nice exercise if we start doing those things on a small notepad, or making our own shopping list and encouraging them to copy us or follow us. Encourage creativity. Let kids express themselves through pictures, scribbles, or make up words. We can always tell them, like, okay, you can draw some pictures or represent some pictures. Provide them plenty of praises. So reinforcing them efforts over the results to build confidence in writing. Reading, another very important aspect where reading is plays such an important role in foundation of writing. If you are not helping your kids in reading, the coordination of like spoken words and writing or communication does get impacted. So read stories aloud and discuss later letters and word. These are the things which as parents and educators we can start encouraging. Okay, so as I said, like I'm going to try to focus on very basic of writing, and would try to explain the common myths and the facts which are there. So one of the myth which a lot of people come across is, so myth number one: children should start writing at a certain age or grade. This is a myth. So what is the fact? As we discussed before, writing develops over time, and every child progresses at their own pace. So the pre-writing skills like scribbling and drawing often emerge around 2 to 3 years of age. The emergent writing, which we discussed in the previous slide, like writing simple words and letters, typically starts at age of 4 to 5 years. So children learn to write in stages, and there is no one size fits all timeline to everyone. So what do we
I'll
expect?
just
So children
add
between
in, Doctor, here a little. So, if your
yeah,
child is in nursery and he is not writing, and another child in nursery is writing, don't be upset about it, because the age may be same, but the developmental milestones are different. Parents, please be aware. Doctors very clearly saying that the child may differ in their writing. Right, doctor?
absolutely, ma'am. Like that is what as you also mentioned, and I have been emphasizing is it's very important to have the physical developmental milestones to be present and the cognitive milestones to be there uh, along with other factors which can help the child. Do not compare your child. Every child is different, and they should develop few basic skills before going ahead in writing. Shall I go ahead, ma'am?
Yes, yes, please.
Yeah. So what to expect? So children between 3 to 5 years might focus on drawing and scribbling. By the age of 5 to 6 years, many children begin to understand the relationship between the sounds and letter, but they may not form letters perfectly. So what is the takeaway? As mentioned by ma'am, writing is a gradual process and a child's readiness varies. So please, again and again, we are emphasizing, do not compare. Yeah, there are red flags which need to be addressed, but these are the milestones which you should be looking before getting panicked or before getting worried. Coming to mid two. So if a child can't write neatly by, let's say, age X or Y, they are behind. They will lag behind. Do you come across, ma'am? Do you come across similar queries?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So everybody wants the children to start writing neatly by the age of 4, by the age of 5. And I keep telling my parents that, each one will develop at their own pace. I remember a situation where my own son's class teacher called me to school and she said, you know what? You're an educationist, but your child doesn't write. And that was like a big shock for me. And then I realized he does talk a lot, but writing has come a little slow to him, but which is normal. It's really normal. The most important is to follow that reading and speaking comes before writing.
Like, yeah, that's so true. Like, we are sometimes like, unfortunately, so much focused on timelines and like, oh, the by this time they should be doing this that we, as mentioned, like we forget the essence of few things. So writing neatly, it doesn't mean that you are having like a writing proficiency. Okay. I know, like, unfortunately, being into medical field, I know a lot of doctors who have horrible handwriting, but that's not like they are like born with those handwriting, and that is nowhere like related to your general IQ or anything. But yeah, it is always good that it should be legible and it should be doing the main purpose of communication. So early writing should focus on the fine motor skill, like how they are holding the pencil, how they are forming the letters, uh, and those aspects. Neatness in writing typically emerges after a child masters letter formation. So you can't expect your child to neatly write, let's say, any simple word like um, for that reason, mom or dad, until unless he knows how D sounds or how to write D, how to write A, and those things. And then the sentences and all, it will come over a period of time. So, what as a parent you should be expecting? As parent, you should be expecting that early writers around like 4 to 6 often produce messy writing. So let them do that. My own daughter, I have two kids, and like the elder one is like 9 and the younger one is 5. So I can correlate them that the in the initial phase they had like very messy writing, and but by now, like as the elder one has grown, I can see that there is a lot of transformation, lot of changes into her handwriting, and which has grow gradually just got better. So, but show an understanding of letters and sounds is very important. Handwriting skills improve as the child practice, and most children by the age of 7 to 8 will begin to write legible, with more consistent spacing and letter formation. So when I look back and I look at my daughter's notebooks and all those things, when she was into grade probably one or senior KG, and when I look at her when she is now in grade three, there's a huge difference in her writing skills.
Oh, I
So
I
it is
want the parents to, and I want to bring their notice to the age of 7 and 8 parents. It is the handwriting will be legible only by the age of 7 to 8, and not 3, 4, and 5, 6 that we're expecting.
correct, ma'am. So the takeaway for this would be neatness develops later. First, what you need to do is focus on understanding and expression of those letters or those words would be more helpful. Okay. Then myth number three, again, I am sure like this is like a big Pandora's box if we start discussing. Slow writers are less intelligent or less capable. Uh, as pediatrician, I get a lot of parents who come with this complaint. Ma'am, I would like you to tell something about it or discuss something, and then I can go about the fact and what to expect. Do you come across like parents complaining about slow writers?
Yes, yes, I do. I do come across a lot of parents saying that, because he's not writing, that means he's not understanding the letter. That means he doesn't know what it is. That means teacher doesn't know what he's teaching. So I would always urge the parents that writing is one phase of the entire developmental zones. I keep telling them, first comes listening, then comes reading, and then speaking, and then comes reading, and then comes writing. So I really am so happy that you're bringing these as the common myths, because I always come across this.
Again, same thing like as ma'am mentioned, is like writing speed does not reflect intelligence or ability. Just that because your child can write, let's say 10 pages in a span of 15 minutes, that doesn't make him like very intelligent. Neither your child writing probably like those same 10 like pages in a span of 30 minutes makes him less intelligent or like less capable. What again you need to understand is all these things over a period of time will start getting better. Writing is a very complex skill that requires a lot of cognitive thing, motor, and well as emotional coordination. Some children might need more time to organize their thoughts, process information, as well as write physically. So, children with slower writing speeds, like they will excel in other areas, such as they might have better creativity, they probably would have been better verbal communication, or they can have problem solving. Yeah, like if they are like not focused, or if they are like I don't mean that you should neglect every single thing and just say that, oh, probably this is a phase of development. But if they are like otherwise focused and otherwise able to do the basic things properly, you should not be pushing on to writing faster. In fact, writing faster can make a lot of mistakes and like again put unnecessary pressure on the kid to write faster. Many like I know like I remember one parent coming to me and saying that, oh, because he writes slow, what we have asked him to do is like start writing like probably 10 to 15 pages in a time span of this. We are not here to run an Olympic 100 meters race, or we are not here to like push the child to do things faster. It's
Uh,
again very important that
One
what
second.
they do.
I think you've just moved a little away from the screen. If you could come back on the screen so the parents can, yeah, there. Thank you.
I'm so sorry, but yeah, yeah. So is it audible better?
Yeah, yeah.
So as I was mentioning, like there was one parent who came and like they were like, oh, we have asked our son to write. Probably like if we was writing 10 pages before in 30 minutes, we have made him a time frame of 25 minutes to write 10 pages. Okay, this is not like an Olympic where you are like asked you want to break any records or world records and all those things in writing. In fact, pushing them too much like this makes them more pressurized and leads to a lot of mistakes in their writing, and it can be more traumatizing for them. So be slow, but at the same time ensure that they are like sticking to the basics of writing. So please do not judge on a child on the basis of the writing speed. Their intelligence and their capability is not dependent on their writing speed. Coming to myth number four, all people think that okay, writing comes naturally once reading is learned. learned. do you come across again similar situations where like people think that, oh, my child can read, but probably I thought like the writing will be like easy to him, but probably he's not doing the same. Does that happen? Yeah.
Yes, yes. I keep telling them, there are stages. So please follow the
Mm.
stages. The child will not be able to start running. He will first sit, then he'll crawl, then he'll stand, then he'll walk, and then he'll run. So, yes, it will come naturally once the child has finished reading.
So reading and writing, though they are related, but that doesn't mean that automatically they are synchronized. Means they are not, obviously they influence each other, but they don't mean that they can synchronize. They are like they can be kids who can be amazing readers. They can be kids who can, but they can still take some time to write, because while reading is foundational for writing, each skill develops at a different rate. Writing, as I said, requires its own set of skills, because reading you don't need fine motor skills like physical skills, right? But in writing you need your physical skill, you need like that stimulation from the brain, you need your thought process to be there, you need to have like the mechanics of writing should be there, the handwriting ability should be there. So writing requires its own set of skills, including fine motor control, spelling, sentence construction, and expressing ideas clearly. So what you should be expecting: after learning to read, children may still need time to practice writing, forming letters, and putting their thoughts into written forms. So phonemic awareness, connecting sounds to letter, is essential for both reading and writing, but the writing process involves additional skills such as organization and structure. So simultaneously, yes, your child might be a good reader, but at the same time, slowly, uh, you have to work on writing skills also. So the takeaway is reading and writing grow alongside each other, but they are distinct skills that require different types of practice. Next, but another important myth which surrounds is early handwriting problems are always a signs of learning disability. Again, ma'am, do you come across similar questions in your thing?
People are not understanding what learning disability is, but they're just labeling. So I wouldn't even say that they're understanding what's the meaning of learning disability. Maybe later when we are addressing dysgraphia and disabilities, we will discuss this. But yeah, early writing problem is something which parents are really, really concerned.
Yeah, so early handwriting problems are like always like there's a lot of parents come and say, but again, handwriting difficulties can be caused by many factors, not just the learning disability. Common reasons for early handwriting problems include immature fine motor skills, lack of practice, or simply not being ready to form letters yet. While learning disabilities like example dysgraphia can impact handwriting, they are not the only explanation. So delayed writing skills, what to expect? Delayed writing skills at younger age often resolve with time and practice. If handwriting issues persist beyond the age of 8 or 9, then we need to consult an occupational therapist or an educational specialist. So the if we go back and try to understand the whole thing which I have mentioned into my presentation about what are the developmental milestones, what are the key milestones to look into, what are the phases of writing, you would see that there is a transition, and till the age of 8 to 9 it is uh, the child is transiting in a phase where they can be competent enough to write. So this is at 8 or 9 when you need to actually look into like if they are not doing things at that level, and do not get panicked too early also. So the takeaway is don't jump to conclusion. Early handwriting struggles are often temporary and can be improved with support. This is a very important thing which again in hashtag I would like to repeat it again: do not neglect, it has to be supported. When I say that, okay, there's a transition which happens, transition doesn't happen by just folding your hands and sitting there. It happens with lot of support and uh, understanding the physiology and the developmental milestones. Okay.
Also, if the child is ready physically, he will be able to write. So, the early problem comes when the finer motor grip is not ready. So, the minute the
Correct.
child is ready and his finer motor grip and palmar grip is ready, he will automatically start writing and the difficulty will go away.
Very true, ma'am. So to summarize, writing is a skill that evolves at different rates for each child. and no two children develop at the same pace. Myths about writing, such as children needing to write neatly by a certain age or being slow if they struggle with writing, can cause unnecessary stress to the child as well as the parent. Patience, encouragement, and the right support are the key to helping a child develop their writing skills. With this, I would probably like go to the question and answer session, because I think like I wanted to keep it more like an open session.
Yeah. So, Doctor, we had planned that we will just give them a little brief on why the developmental milestones are important, because, educationists keep saying that, but when a doctor says that, it adds more value. So, I'm so glad and so happy, Doctor, you brought up the same things that I keep telling, that the finer motor, the palmar grip needs to be developed. And there are few practices that we continue to do with the children, because when the child comes to us in the play group at 2 years of age, we start with lots and lots of scribbling, paper tearing, paper crumbling, and those activities are something which even you mentioned in your presentation. Slowly, when they go into the nursery, we start giving them, crayons and pencil to hold. We begin with pattern writing, and then in junior, at the age of 4, we start giving them to write letters. So I'm so glad that it exactly matched with what we are doing at EuroKids, because we always believe in doing something which is developmentally appropriate and age appropriate for children. So I'm sure parents will understand why we do all this as part of our syllabus. And we will now, maybe you can stop sharing the presentation and we will start taking questions for the parents. So I think we'll have to jointly answer the questions, because there are a lot of questions that I read have a lot of academics in between. So probably you will take the little bit of the development part of it, and I'll take a little bit of the flow of academics on that. So I have an anonymous question, Doctor, which says, how is scribbling and writing different? I think there is some issue. I think we've lost the connectivity. Doctor is missing. So I'll take this question for him. Scribbling is the first step to writing. So while we say that we should start with scribbling, paper crumpling, where we are talking about the finer motor skills, we are talking about the palmar grip, pincer grip. For writing, the pincer grip is very important. For scribbling is preparatory for writing. So that's a beginning to write. So I hope I have answered that question, that scribbling is extremely important. It's a preparatory stage for writing. Another question by Jyoti TD. My child is 4-year-old, but he's still not interested in writing. I am so glad that he is able to express himself, that he is not interested in writing. As a parent, my urge, my request to you is not force him, but give him activities that will help him develop his finer motor, like sorting, like crayon coloring, like tearing, like scissoring, whatever the child is interested in. And Jyoti ji, I will request you that forcing your child will make the hatred even more stronger. So please don't force. The minute the child is ready physically, he will start writing. I hope I answered that question. The next question is by Mondil. How do I know if my child is right-handed or lefty? Parent, this is something which the child starts writing with both his hands in the beginning, till he gets a grip on which is his dominant hand. So please let him decide which is his dominant hand. So don't force him when he's writing with the left, and don't stop him when he's writing with the right. So please let him choose. Maybe in the initial years, he may start writing with the left and then move on to the right. So please don't force, let him develop at his own pace. How to teach starting to write. I have this question on how to teach starting to write. Focus a lot on the skills that are necessary in terms of preparatory skills. So, like, doctor said scribbling, I'm saying clay molding, maybe small activities like sorting, maybe peeling the green peas. So, all these things we can use so that the child starts getting interested in writing, and that's the preparatory stage. Yeah, we have doctor back here. So,
Yes, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know, like there was some problem with the connection. Yeah.
no worries, no worries. So I'll just go back to a few of the questions we started. So we have Shruti here asking, my query is, why is difference in two children of the same age who can write and not write?
Again, like as we mentioned before, like every child's like the phase where they can develop the fine motor skills is different. It doesn't mean that like they should be able to like fine motor is one of the aspects. So how they hold a grip, how they start holding a pencil, when they start doing those things, their hand-eye coordination as well as their cognitive development. These are like it's not one factor which determines when they are going to start. Probably we always keep telling in medicine 1 plus 1 is not always 2. It has a multiple collateral factors which determine when your child will be able to do. Yeah, but having said that, there are a set of like there's a certain age by which they should be doing those things. If not, we should be looking at the red flag signs.
I always keep saying, doctor, one size fits all doesn't work in school because each child is so different. Each child loves to do things so differently. Their interest levels vary. So please don't expect that the children at age 3 will be the same, will write at the same speed. Don't expect that. Let me take another question is, will the kids start disliking writing if we force them to write?
Anything which pressurize them and is against their will in a very tender age is not something which as a pediatrician I would encourage. I would still say that there are ways of getting things done and there are ways that like which you can uh, make them more interested in getting things done rather than just making it like a task or making it as a compulsion which should be there. For that reason, like not only the kids, as adults also, if someone is forcing us to do something, would we ever like would like to do it?
So
The
true,
answer
so true. Yeah, I mean, this is something which we should understand that nothing can be done with force. We have to have the little bit of willingness in the child to have that done. Doctor, the other
So
question,
before I just
yeah,
before
sure.
we go to that, so I keep telling a very common example, like which a lot of parents like probably I don't know whether the correlation would be easier to do it, but I get patients or I get parents who say, "Oh, my child doesn't eat fruit." Okay, or my child doesn't eat healthy food. How many times you are eating healthy food is my question, which comes to the parents. How many times you are eating fruit in a day? You can't expect your child like so they see by the surrounding which is there. Similarly, they start adapting from things which they are seeing around them. So that's very
Exactly.
important.
Parents are their role model. I mean, right? Why do parents forget that the parents are the role model? So if you eat fruit and you read in front of them, they will start definitely doing the same thing. So the next question is by Pushpanjali. My child, 4.5 years old, likes to write numbers and letters, but he's scared of writing Hindi.
Okay. Again, like it all depends what is the primary language they speak at home.
Mhm.
Another thing is like how comfortable or how easy it is. Like sometimes the like basic language can become a bit difficult to them, provided like they are used to listening or they are used to communicating or writing in that language on a very regular basis.
Also, if I have to technically see, the Hindi curves are a little more deeper and sharper than the numbers and the letters, and their exposure. So, there are two things that really vary. If I have to be very practical in my answer, is letters and numbers, the children have more exposure than what they have with the language. And the second thing is that curves are more deeper and more sharper. So, a little more readiness is required while they do that. Next question is, can writing be replaced by typing? Children can learn to paint.
Um, Maybe not, like they can be encouraged to do it at a later age, but yeah, these are like, this is one form of development which should happen, because at the end of the day, it involves a lot of other key milestones also which are there, or key basic fine motor skills are also involved.
Yeah, Avinash if I have to add to that, replacing typing also requires a pincer grip or the readiness of your tips to type. So this developmental milestone has to be achieved, and I would not want the child to be too much on screen. I would really want him to write, but at the right age. Neha has asked a question. My child is 3.25 years. He is using right and left hand while doing the activity.
Oh, that's a very good thing. Like, you should be proud of your child who is like sometimes bidextrous. Okay, bidextrous kids are usually like considered to be like using both side of their cerebral hemisphere. But yes, eventually they should start having a hand preference which is there, and like physiologically with also the developmental thing, they can take 4 to 5 years to understand what is their hand preference or what is their choice of thing. I again, there are a lot of kids, like there is almost the literature says there are 10% of the population who can have bidextrous grip and bidextrous efficiency of writing.
So I have an anonymous attendee. Same age children in other schools are writing beautifully, and my child is not able to write. Why is that? They eventually have to go to the formal school grade one together.
Uh, that's again the same thing which we discussed throughout the presentation, is that probably the right age for them to like actually be not competitive or like comparative is like probably 7 to 8 years or beyond that, not before that. It will take some time and they will learn to get right better. You focus on their basic understanding about what all the letters mean, how to form words, how to like make proper words out of it, letters understanding, uh, phonetics, all those things should be emphasized more.
So we have another question by Nilofer, which is also a repeat question. What is the right age to write? How can we develop it? The curriculum to start with writing activities like sleeping like, standing like, and something different has to be started. So I'll just take the curriculum part of it. So, like always, I say we start with scribbling, we start with pincer grip, we start with paper crumpling, paper tearing, sorting, peeling. All those are activities that help the child to their preparatory activities to writing. And Dr. What is the right age to write?
So again, when we say right age to write, it involves so many factors. It can be just writing a word, or it can be writing a sentence, or it can be forming words and all. We did discuss into our presentation that they need to initially form few scribbles, then they can make like some basic sounds or like basic phonetic sounds. So right age to form, I would say like probably 7 to 8. I would like give them time till 7 to 8 years of age.
I have another question by Rahul Sangvi. My child is in KG2, 5 year old. He speaks very well, but is still not able to write as expected.
Same thing
I
which we
think here
discussed.
we have to follow Rahul the LSRW approach: listening, speaking, reading, writing. So writing comes last. So once he started speaking means that that part of the development is done. So writing will come very soon. Doctor, do you want to add something for Rahul?
No, I agree with it. Like same thing which we discussed in the myth five, like which is there.
Again, the same question on writing. I have a question by Sarkar that says my child is 2.6 years old and interested in paintbrush than a crayon. Is it okay to give the child a paintbrush? I believe give the child what he is interested in. So please let him enjoy, let him make a choice, because decision making is also something which is extremely important. So let him make the choice and give him what he likes. I have another question, Doctor, by Rajiv. My son is 6 year old. He's very good in reading, but when it comes to writing, he refuses to even hold a pencil. Please guide us how to develop his writing interest in writing.
Uh, Again, very important topic. Same thing which we discussed. There can be kids who can be very good at reading. There can be kids who can be very good at listening. But you need to look into how is your child's like pencil grasp, what activities he does. Is it like just the pencil or the writing which he neglects, or is it any other fine motor skill involving activity which he is not very comfortable doing? That is the first thing which you need to look into. Later on, like involving like doing simple activities which ma'am mentioned just now should be the first thing which they should be doing. Later on, after that, you guys sit with them, you guys start like trying to trace things, you and make involved into fun activities where they can use colors and all to start drawing better or start writing better. It involves lot of perseverance, and it involves lot of patience while you are like going to teach. It is not going to happen in a day's time. So sit down with your child, spend some time, do some fun activity, and then we can get better.
So, Doctor, I have couple of questions which on a regular note are saying that the child is not interested in writing and they run away to writing. How do we develop their interest? So, I have at least 3 to 4 questions that I read which talks about interest in writing. So, if you could just address that.
As I mentioned, like see, kids see what they like. Kids follow what they are seeing around them. Okay, it doesn't happen that if you're spending all your time on phone or all your time like when you see that your child sees that you are writing something or you are doing some activity which is involving writing. I bet you like they will pick up the pencil, they will pick up a pen, and they will start doing those things. Do you agree, ma'am, to that? How many
Yes.
times like how
I
many
would
times I
want
have
the
seen?
parents to model it because I always keep saying parents are the best role models. So I want the parents to model writing in front of the child, sit down and draw something so that the children can copy your drawing.
I have like on a personal level also I have seen the transformation of kids who start like when they start seeing their parents or their uh, elder siblings doing some. You come across like the younger ones, they are always a better like they would. You see like when you compare two kids, the younger ones are probably like quite quick in picking up pencils and quite quick in writing things. Why? Because they see someone else into the family writing or scribbling or doing things. If you are like into a nuclear family having only child and all, the best way of making better habits is you getting into those things and you becoming a role model and trying to do things for your child.
Absolutely. I mean, role modeling and sitting in front of the child. And children love to do what you're doing. So if you're doing something that you want them to do, start doing that. They will start doing it. I have another anonymous question, Doctor, which talks about till what age will the child do mirror writing?
A very, very, very important question. In fact, I was expecting this question quite early into the discussion because I think like a lot of parents come with like, oh, my child writes B in place of D, my child writes P in place of Q, and those things. So mirror writing or reverse writing is very common. It does happen till probably like 5 to 6 years of age. So I would say like grade 1 to grade 2 is common, and then after that if it is consistently happening, again you need to correct them, you need to sit down with them, you need to ensure that they are like understanding the like image and the pronunciation, then they will get better. But commonly in medical practice, if you look at it, 6 to 7 years is still the upper limit for him to have like mirror writing.
So I have a lot of questions which are coming as a repetition. What is the right age of writing? How does the child, we encourage them to grip on the pencil? and different types of activities that we do. So I will just club all of them and say there is no ideal age of writing. For the child to start writing, the preparations like scribbling, paper tearing, crumpling activities have to be done. Small activities in the house like sorting out dals, peeling off the green peas, cutting of the vegetables, plucking the methi, palak, or coriander leaves from the, all these will help you develop the pincer grip. So there is no right age to do that. The child can do it very, very young. Even when he started sitting down and crawling, also the child can start playing with these things. These are the preparatory for writing. So I have lots and lots of questions which are asking on what is the preparation for writing.
I would say it starts very early into the developmental like age, where like let's say from 1 year or so, you should start encouraging them into getting involved like messy and like trying to get feel the tactile stimulation. You should make them feel things. We always say that you have thinner and hypothinner muscles, and if you want to do any of this activity, you need to approximate these fingers to get a grip or to start holding things. This is known as palmar grasp. This is known as a pincer grasp. To hold a pencil, you need to have a pincer grasp, which is there, where your thumb and your first finger has to come closer and get it. So that can happen with any activity, like for that reason, which is going to get them approximated or get their muscles developed. You can't have a biceps without having like doing exercise. Similarly, this is all like a exercise which needs to be done in a different form.
I have Karthik with me who talks about mood swings that the children are going through and how do we focus them on the task.
Yeah, that's a very big topic about like attention seeking behaviors and ADHDs and those things. To cut it short or like to make it in a better way, I would say actually like a lot of my colleagues and me myself have done research into what is the pre-COVID and post-COVID developmental delays which or developmental milestone problems which kids have coming across. And one of the major reasons for that is use of lot of screen time. So when people talk about like focusing, or when people talk about their child not having that much of attention and all, one thing which I recommend from my end as a developmental specialist or a pediatrician is like trying to bring down their screen time. It does help in like and engaging in them into activities which needs like for them to sit down at one place, try to focus on things. And why people keep encouraging more on drawing, craft and all, because as kids they love it. At the same time, it helps in increasing their attention span as well as focus.
Even as parents, doctor, we are watching the TV at the same time scrolling our Insta. So we are also not focusing on one thing. I have another parent, Pooja Khatre, which says, which hand should the child write with? It matters if the child is comfortable in writing with the left hand, or is there any connection with the developing mind?
Mm, as I said, like the hand preference develops over a period of time. Initial phase, they can use both their hands, but eventually, as they grow by age of 4 to 5, they would start using a specific hand. And I would not push any of the parent. I would like to emphasize it again. Do not push your child to use one hand, like specifically, like for you want your child to be left-handed or like you want to. That it all comes naturally. So it is like something which you can't force them to do. And even if you force them to do, probably they would not be able to do the best of it.
There are a couple of questions coming on right age, pincer grip, writing habit, coloring assignments. We've all done that. My son, he knows how to spell and read words, but when it comes to school work and writing, he doesn't even want to hold the pencil. Same question again.
And like we can touch base on something like dysgraphia and all those things which people, if they are interested, or like writing disabilities if they want to. But because
Hmm.
these are like common topics which are there. So
Yeah, I mean, there's lots and lots on writing, time of writing. So I'm just scanning through the questions and I see on, on which hand we've just answered that age of writing. This is also answered.
What I can
My
meanwhile you are sorry.
I have a question here. My child writes a lot of letters and numbers in opposite ways. So they're talking about mirror writing again.
Yeah, we did speak about it. Like mirror writing again is very common till 7 years of age. You need to explain them and like try to ensure that they are getting better.
Yeah. So, Dr. Tejas, we have Karthik Singh saying a lot of thanks to you for such a learning session for the parents and such an encouraging session for them. Then I have again same on mirror image. I have a question on the age of writing. I have on writing activities that we've discussed. I have on scribbling that we've discussed. um, Cursive writing is something which parents are talking about, doctor. As an educationist, I am absolutely against cursive writing because I feel they do not need to know so many twists and turns in the letters, but they can easily write those letters without making so many turns. What is your take on cursive writing?
Um, I would like to just add on to this because that's very important. This is as a parent, or like my wife went to school and she did ask this thing because my elder one writes cursive and the younger one likes doesn't write cursive. And there was always this debate about like whether the child should be encouraged to write cursive or whether, as mentioned, if it is getting more complex for a child to understand the nitty gritty of writing, cursive writing is not something which should be pushed into. Okay, the more simpler and the more basic way they should understand of writing the letters or understanding the letters per se and able to communicate is what should be encouraged. Having said that, again, if there are kids who have been probably initially trained into cursive writing, they can do it. But I also agree that I am not for cursive writing that much as far as they are able to legibly communicate what they want to write.
Uh, Absolutely, doctor. So, I'm still reading few questions which says he's currently doing a lot of scribbling on the paper and on the board, and we are starting that, but not holding a pencil. So I keep reading questions like this in terms of why they are not ready is because they are not ready developmentally. So their pencil grip is not ready. So I think we are getting a lot of repetition on that. My child is showing no interest. He does not speak. How is the sibling and writing different? Yes, each sibling has a different writing. Each child is different. I think we've answered a lot of questions because I can see a lot of repetition in the questions which we have answered. Holding hands, doctor. This is the second time I'm seeing. Should we encourage holding hands and make the child write?
I'm not a big fan of it. As a
Same here, same here.
it doesn't make, as I said, like let your child be free and let them do the basic like sand writing, writing on a board, write scribbling would be more better ways of doing things rather than like you holding and trying to make them write in a specific way or like pushing them to write in a specific way.
So, doctor, I have one little thought over here. Though at EuroKids we do a lot of developmentally right things and age appropriate things, and we do not force children to write till they are in junior KG. That's the age of 4. So, from 2 years to 3 years, we do a lot of preparatory for writing. But I always have parents and partners come and complain to me that, at EuroKids, Anita, everything is perfect, everything is good, but, you don't make children write write, and the other schools are making them write, and other schools are preparing them for their formal interview and formal tests. And I keep arguing and telling the parents that I understand what I'm doing because I'm doing something which is right for the child. So do you want to make me feel a little more comfortable by saying the same thing to the parents?
No, I just not just that, because I am at EuroKids and like I'm like representing or like giving a presentation with the EuroKids family, that I'm saying this, but being very unbiased, I can assure you the way which you are following, or it is more evidence based, or which is more scientifically appropriate thing. We have looked into what are the development or the writing developmental phases which are there, and which makes sense why a child should not be encouraged to push into writing too early into their life, which indirectly or invariably can cause more harm rather than making benefit of it. A very important point to all the parents who are like doubting about this. See, we keep saying that we all are into a different zone, or every child is different. No one is into the same race. I know, like in today's competitive world, people do compare and people do try to be like one edge above the other, or would like that kid to be one edge above the other. But in the process of doing that, if they lose the essence of learning, or if they lose the essence of enjoying the learning phase, I would be more unhappy by what they have achieved.
That's so important. At the end of the day, we want our children to be really happy. We want them to be, growing with a pace that they are happy at growing, and not push any children into growing. So it's
I
not.
can
Yeah.
I
Yes.
can just add on to one thing. Like now we all are like, I am sure like all the parents over here, as well as like all of us now, when we look at it retrospectively, those 6 months, or let's say if someone is like behind for 6 months or 1 year, now at the juncture which we are all standing, does that 6 months or 1 year like even make any major difference? If all of us just go back and think about it, that 1 month delay or 2 month delay about like not able to do anything which your peer would be doing, I'm sure like this is just the early phase into their life. How many of like my batchmates in the 10th or 12th or this thing, who would like probably like be more sharper, more smarter. So life is different. Life doesn't mean that it is like, oh, just by achieving one milestone you are going to win all the races in the life.
I totally agree with you. I remember my child's senior KG teacher calling me to school and telling me that he doesn't write, and the grade one teacher said, he just doesn't write. But today he is very successful. So please note that writing is not the criteria for the child to be successful or not to be successful. So let the child do something at his own pace. What gives him happiness. Each child takes a different milestone to achieve at a different age. I have lots and lots of questions which are asking me the right age, and I would once again say that there is no right age to write. Whenever the child is ready, is the right age for the child. Some may be ready at 2, some may be ready at 3, some may be at 4 and 5. So please don't push your child. To end the seminar, the webinar, Doctor, I have lots and lots of parents saying thank you in the question answer session, saying that it was very, very informative. We've really got a lot of inputs on it. And anything as a parting note that, Doctor, you want to give our parents here?
No, as I said, like it was a pleasure on my side. It is always good to, because I feel I understand the same thing being a father or being a parent also, that what goes through a parent's mind when they see other kids and when they come across a lot of scenarios. But just a note to all of them that this is just the beginning of a long journey. Okay, you have to ensure the process of learning should be more enjoyable and should not put any pressure on your child. And I bet you, like at the same time, when I say all these things, I doesn't mean that you should not pick up the red flag signs. Yes, you should be picking up red flag signs, but you should not be comparing or putting any extra pressure on your child. With that, I would like to say a big thank you to you too, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Doctor. It was a pleasure. I'm so glad we both have the same mindset that no pressure on the child. Just let them enjoy the entire process. There is no hurry in reaching the destination. We'll just enjoy the journey. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you, dear parents, for joining us. And if you have any other queries, you can please feel free to write to us. We will be happy to answer them. Thank you so much for joining us.